May peace, mercy and blessings of Allah be upon you all. There is a tomorrow that is coming, in which Israel will be the ruling state of the world, and we call it, Pax Judaica. In Pax Judaica, the false Messiah or Dajjal the Anti-Christ, will be throned in Jerusalem, and in order for him to prove his divine kingdom, he will need complete control, tracking and surveillance of every human. Now since Dajjal is not the real Messiah, and he doesn't have any power or blessings from the Almighty, therefore, he will rely on the satanic technologies and evil policies to claim his prophecy. Dajjal will be having complete control over what people are eating, where people are traveling, how people are using the internet, what products they are buying, etc. The globalists and Satanists are already rolling the red carpet for the false Messiah Dajjal by implementing Cbdcs, central bank digital currency, digital IDs, artificial intelligence, social credit score system, etc. Carbon footprint is one of the hoax that these devil worshippers are making a fuss about to implement these evil surveillance policies. I'd like to remind everyone that CO2 or carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is only 0.04%, of which we contribute about 3% of that 0.04%. And they want you to think that we are causing a climate crisis. It is definitely a hoax. They want to completely eliminate cash, and have everybody use Cbdcs, so that everything can be tracked, and everything can be controlled. These currencies are programmable, so that if you've already exceeded your carbon footprint or if you go against the government or authorities, you won't be allowed to buy another food, or buy an airplane ticket, or put petrol or gas in your car, or maybe even heat your home.
We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned. We don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
But what exactly is your carbon footprint? A carbon footprint refers to the total amount of greenhouse gases released into the Earth's atmosphere as a result of the activities of an individual or an organisation. Remember, greenhouse gases trap heat inside the atmosphere, and that's overheating the planet. So if you want to work out your own carbon footprint, you need to know the amount of greenhouse gases, like carbon dioxide, you're responsible for creating. It's a difficult thing to measure precisely, and there are different definitions about how best to calculate it. But roughly speaking, there's the direct impact of using energy when we travel or to power our homes, and there's the indirect impact of the energy that's used to create all the things we use or consume. In the developed world in particular, transport is a big part of your carbon footprint. Cutting down on the use of petrol or diesel cars and taking fewer flights is one of the most effective ways of reducing it. The place you live also contributes to your personal footprint. It's important to make sure your home is heated or cooled efficiently and is well insulated. The more you can use sustainable energy like solar or wind power, the more you cut your emissions. The stuff you use at home also adds to the problem. All that plastic, metal and cardboard takes a lot of energy to produce and dispose of. So recycling can help reducing your carbon footprint, but not as much as how you travel or heat and cool your home. Then there's your diet. Above all, red meat makes your carbon footprint bigger, because cows produce so much methane, another greenhouse gas. And huge numbers of trees are cut down to create pastures on which cattle can graze. In the developing world, polluting stoves are a real problem too, so it's important to try to replace them with more efficient methods of cooking. But overall, people in poorer countries produce far smaller amounts of greenhouse gases than people in richer countries do. So, if you look at just what a country produces, the average amount of carbon dioxide emissions per person in the United States is about 16.1 tonnes per year. In China it's 7.1 tonnes, and in the UK it's about 5.5 tonnes. But in the Democratic Republic of Congo it's only 0.03 tonnes, while in Qatar, which has a really small population but produces so much oil and gas, it's 38.6 tonnes. Now that's just production. It doesn't take account of all the other things we've talked about, how much you consume. But obviously, the more money you have, the more you tend to consume. So if people in richer countries really want to reduce their carbon footprint, they need to make huge changes in their lifestyles. It can be done, and new technologies to make things greener are coming on stream all the time. But it is a reminder that the declared aim in many countries of going carbon neutral by the middle of this century means a revolution in the way we live.
We will study the impact on the economy and the financial system. This will help us improve our own models. We will also work to reduce our carbon footprint in everything we do, from banknotes to how we supervise banks.
This new credit card, which has just come out now, it's a partnership between MasterCard and the United Nations Climate Fund. It's called Doconomy. And the idea is this is a credit card that it's all voluntary, of course. Everything starts voluntary. But the credit card monitors your carbon allowance, your CO2 budget on all of your purchases. And the most disturbing element to start out is, according to the World Economic Forum, is that it actually monitors and cuts off your spending when you hit your CO2 limit, or in their words, your carbon max. In other words, if you bought too much gas that day or paid your electric bill on it, you've already exceeded your thing. They're going to shut you down. And it's a new level of government monitoring for the climate.
Morano is editor of the Climate Depot, a publication that monitors climate change extremists. He says that the government, and the UN in this case, has been encouraging Western nations to mandate limits on how much carbon-based fuel its citizens can use, and says the UN saw the COVID-19 lockdowns of the past year and a half as a model for controlling people's use of energy. So your concern is that the government takes this too far and suddenly your spending on carbon, basically carbon energy, could be truncated by the government and a preset limit allocated per person. Is that your concern?
In August of 2021, there was a study in the prestigious journal Nature, which is what feeds the United Nations, feeds the whole climate change thing. And the study actually was saying how great the COVID lockdowns have been because they enabled discussion and the revival of the idea of CO2 budgets for every man, woman, and child on the planet. And the original idea from this came back from about 15 years ago. It was a German climate advisor. He wanted monitoring of everyone's energy budget from Berlin to Beijing. Interesting choice of two cities with a lot of history there of authoritarianism. So, but that's where we are headed. So it's in the peer-reviewed journal. It's now in corporate America. It's in the United Nations. It's in the consciousness. They want to get everyone now to the point where they can cut off your spending if you have exceeded your climate limit for that day, week, month.
Joe Biden's White House put out an executive order last year saying that the administration puts the highest urgency on creating, deploying, and using a central bank digital currency. And of course, the Federal Reserve has been working on this. It's all being coordinated by the Bank for International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland. They've been working on this for years and years now. So the Fed now system that's being rolled out at the end of the month, that's one of the major components in the architecture of the CBDCs. But where this is eventually going, Allison, is they want to completely eliminate cash and have everybody use CBDCs so that everything can be tracked, everything can be controlled, and as the individual at the Summer Davos put it, these currencies can be programmable so that if you've already exceeded your carbon footprint, say, you won't be allowed to buy another steak or buy an airplane ticket or put gasoline in your car or maybe even heat your home. It's hard to overstate the danger of this. I mean, this is the most Orwellian tool for tyranny. And then when you combine it with the digital IDs, when you combine it with the surveillance, with the artificial intelligence that is now being developed, you realize they're building actually a prison planet, and we are the prisoners.
Yeah, we absolutely are. It's just so scary, and I can't even believe this is the world we're living in. But I'm so grateful that you're speaking out about this, and so many others too, to spread awareness. But it's so true. The goal here, the total goal, is just complete control over every aspect of your life. You'll never be able to save money, and your funds will be turned on and off based on your social credit score, which, as we all know, we're seeing the beginnings of right now. I mean, isn't the idea of the central bank digital currency hugely unpopular with the majority of Americans? And if people do resist this, do you think they can still push it through and force CBDCs to be implemented through maybe the destruction of blockchain solutions?
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, there is no public support for this at all. I mean, how many people have you heard say, hey, I wish I had a central bank digital currency? It was a total non-issue for people, completely unpopular idea. And if people understood the implications, there would be not just no support for it, there would be maybe even an outright revolt. But what they hope to do is back us into a corner and force us to accept this. Again, eventually, I think they'll roll this out in parallel with cash. And after they get the bugs worked out, they'll start demonizing cash more and more. It's a tool for terrorists. It's a tool for white supremacists. It's a tool for tax cheats and drug dealers and pimps and things like this. In an effort to kind of stigmatize the use of cash, a lot can be done to resist this, and we must resist this. Because again, once the door on this cage shuts, it's not going to be opened again. We have to stop it.